Welcome back, guys. Today we are going to talk about healing. And I know healing it's a loaded word. Like it can mean a lot of different things. But I want to talk about healing emotionally and just healing those wounds that we have sometimes. Because I'm not going to lie to you, a couple years ago, before I started my personal development journey, I didn't really understand what healing was. I didn't know how to. I knew it sounded good. I heard people talking about going ahead and healing themselves, but I didn't really know what that meant. So hopefully I can break it down a little bit through my experiences, through what I experienced over the last few years of healing some of my wounds, what that can look like, what 4 steps you can actually take to put into action to make it not easy, because it's never going to be easy to heal, but to make it actionable. So you have the steps, so you can actually do them, and you have a direction so you know how to get started. So that's the goal today. I want you to have a blueprint of how to start healing whatever it is that you need to heal in your life. Sometimes it's relationships. Sometimes it's healing your own self and the way you look at yourself. Like self-respect, self-confidence can be a big wound that a lot of people have. And starting to recognize what that is and starting to take the steps to really start to feel better about yourself can be huge. And everyone's got their own journey, but healing is always going to be a part, because we all have wounds. We all have things that happened to us when we were younger. We all have things that were self-inflicted that we just didn't know any better, that's caused these big wounds in our system. First step that we need to take on this healing journey is going to be creating space. Now, creating space can mean different things to different people. There's different techniques, different ways to do it, and I'll talk about a couple of my favorite today. Creating space is stepping away from your distractions, your devices, all the things that are going on in your life, and stepping away from all the noise. You know what? We have a lot of noise in our life. We got the television, we got the news, we got social media, we got our friends telling us things, we got our parents telling us things. We have a lot of noise. We have our boss telling us different things. So there's a lot of noise in your life. And a lot of times we don't even step away from that noise. And actually, a lot of times that noise is there to drown out the pain from the wound. So what I want you to do is find a way to start creating space in your life. Now for me, you probably heard me talk about this a lot if you follow me at all. I like to take walks without my phone. And I do this every single morning. The first thing I do when I get out of bed, I go brush my teeth, I get dressed, and I go out for an hour walk. And it is amazing. It allows my brain to go, to think, to reflect. And it allows me to prime my brain to what I want to think about that day. And there's a lot of things going on in my brain in the morning. But it gives me that space to hear myself, to hear my thoughts. Because if you're always listening to a podcast, if you're always listening to music, if you're always surrounded by people, you have no time to think and hear yourself talk. Because your mind is always saying things and we're acting on that. And that's why we have these habits. That's why we have these automatic routines that we do without thinking. It's because we don't ever even stop and listen to that voice, to that noise that's going on in our head every day. So go out and create some space. Like I said, I like to take walks. And most people, they want to listen to music and podcasts, but don't do it. Just go out there, get in nature, and just be by yourself with your thoughts. Like bring your phone, put it on airplane mode if you have to for safety reasons, but get out there and just walk and look around and breathe and take it in. And that's going to allow you to start to hear yourself a little bit, feel yourself a little bit. And it might be uncomfortable when you first start. It might be a little uncomfortable because you're actually going to start feeling some things that you haven't felt. And we'll get into that a little later in one of the following steps. So you can also meditate. I've used meditation a lot, especially in the first year or two. I really started to use meditation to really quiet the noise. Get into a quiet place where you're not going to be distracted. And see, the thing with meditation, especially if you're just starting, you're going to think that you're doing it wrong, but you're not doing it wrong. As long as you're in silence and you're sitting there with your thoughts and you're just breathing and trying to relax your body, trying to let go, trying to surrender, you're doing it right. There's no right way to meditate. As long as you sit there with your thoughts in silence, you're doing it right. And you're going to start to hear the chatter in your brain saying, hey, you know what? You got a whole bunch of emails you haven't looked at. You're hungry. You got to go to the bathroom. You know you got a busy schedule today. You're going to have your mind telling you all these things to get you off that meditation because it's used to this pattern. It's used to this certain way of living. But all you have to do is calm down, sit there, and relax. And this is going to allow you to open up. It's going to allow you to open your heart. It's going to allow you to open your mind and start to hear, what are these things that I'm saying? What are these questions that I'm asking myself on a continuous basis? So that's the second one. Another thing you can do to create space is start to journal. Get a journal out. And I was so consistent with this, and I can't lie to you guys. I haven't been doing it recently, but I was so consistent when I first started my journey, and it was so useful. Just getting your thoughts out on the paper, just writing and letting it go, getting it out of your brain. It's like a brain dump, and you're just allowing these thoughts out. But this is what you have to do if you want to heal these wounds, because you have this built up emotion, these thoughts that are always on your mind, these things that you're doing to suppress this feeling and thoughts, and you're always doing that, and you're constantly distracting yourself. So if you want to heal yourself, you have to look at the wound. See, what I like to say is we like to put band-aids on our wounds, and our band-aids come in different forms. Sometimes the band-aid comes as television. Sometimes it comes as alcohol. But that is going to be your step number 2, which is identify what your band-aids are. So your band-aids can be a variety of different things. Like I said, it might be television. You might binge the news. It might be Instagram. It might be X. It might be some social media platform that you're always scrolling on. Check your phone time. Look to see what you're doing. Are you watching YouTube all the time? Is that one of your band-aids? Or do you go out and drink? Do you go to the bars a lot? A good way to find this out is to actually look at your credit card statements and then look at your phone time, your screen time. Where are you spending your time? Do a time audit and do a money audit, and you can kind of see where you're spending your time, where you're spending your money. If you're going out all the time, drinking, I don't know what it is. What is your escape? What are you doing? Sometimes people like to go gamble, and that's their escape. That's their band-aid. And I don't know what it is for you, but it's something if you feel like you haven't healed your wounds. And there's a lot of different ways that we can just go ahead and slap this band-aid on the wound, and we think we're going to feel better. But it only makes us feel good temporarily. You know what a big thing was that I saw with health and fitness clients when they're trying to lose weight? Their band-aid was eating food, overeating, or just eating when they're bored. Because what it does, it gives us a feeling to take away the feeling that we are going to feel. So if you have a wound open and you haven't healed it yet, that's painful. Whether that's self-doubt, whether that's lack of self-respect, whether that's just fear. Instead of feeling that fear, you go and eat. It makes you feel different. And it takes away that pain or that fear or that self-doubt or that worry or that anxiety. So I challenge you to check and see what these band-aids are. What are these band-aids that you're throwing over this wound? That short-term fix. Because we know that short-term fix is never going to work. That short-term fix is only going to help you temporarily. Sometimes people go and they just want to sleep with men or women to take their mind off of themselves. That's a way. That's a band-aid. That's a short-term fix. But that's never going to heal you long-term. So first off, we want to create space. Get out in space. See what these thoughts are. And after that, we want to identify what is the way that we're dealing with these feelings. What is the way that I'm dealing with this pain, with these thoughts? Are they healthy? Or am I doing unhealthy things? You can have healthy band-aids like going to the gym Anytime you're stressed out, you go to the gym and work out. That's an empowering band-aid. But you also don't want to have to depend on something all the time to take that feeling away, which is going to lead us into step number 3, and that's going to be letting go. Now, letting go is a great process. And there's a whole book called Letting Go written by David Hawkins, and I suggest you read it if you're going through a healing process and you want to feel better about yourself. But what you need to do is allow these emotions to come up. See, what we do is we start to suppress the emotion. And we suppress it, like I was saying, whether it's distractions, whether it's doing something to make us feel better, whether it's being around people all the time. I remember distinctly being in middle school saying, I don't like being by myself. I always have to be around people. And you know what that was? I didn't want to look inward. I didn't want to feel those feelings of being by myself. Because when you're by yourself, you're going to have these thoughts come up. You're going to have these feelings come up. You're going to have to face your insecurities. You're going to have to face the things that you don't really like about yourself. But the only way to heal and go forward is to allow these emotions to come up, to face them. Because what happens in this process of letting go is you surrender to the emotion. So if you have fear, you surrender to it. You allow it to be there. And you don't judge it. You don't try to push it away, because what happens is when you push that emotion away, it comes back again. And then it comes back again. And guess what? It comes back again. And it never goes away. So if you want to lose it, you just face it. If you want to lose the insecurities, you face the insecurities. You allow it to sit there. You allow yourself to recognize it. You allow that feeling to be there. And the longer you let it sit there, the more it starts to run out. And eventually, if you continue to let go and allow these feelings to come up and surrender to them, and just allow them to sit there, eventually they're going to run out and they're not going to bother you anymore. You're not going to have that anxiety that you always had, because you allowed that anxiety in, you faced it, you sat there with it, you didn't run from it. You didn't pick up your phone. You didn't turn on the TV. You didn't go start eating food. You just allowed that anxiety to sit there, and you faced it. And you said, what? Okay, you're fine. It's anxiety. I'm going to surrender to it. I'm going to allow it to run its course. And as it runs its course, you get stronger. You understand that it's just a feeling that is not going to control you. You understand that it will run out eventually. And this might not be a one-time thing. The first time you surrender to these feelings, they're not going to run out. It might take some time. It might take years. But it begins to have less of a chokehold on you the more you allow them to come in and just sit there and run out. So that's step number 3. Let go. Surrender to the feelings. Allow them to come up, and don't try to suppress them by distracting yourself or pushing them away or doing something to take your mind off of that feeling. Just allow it to be there, and it's going to run out, and you'll be able to face it, and you'll be able to understand what that emotion is, and then you'll become more aware of yourself and who you are and what insecurities you may have, and then you can start working on those. Then the last step to start healing is I want you to figure out and become self-aware and conscious of everything that's going on. Be aware of your thoughts. Be aware of your feelings. And when you start to get this consciousness, then you're in control of your life. When you're conscious of, okay, yeah, this is fear, and I have this fear because of this that happened in my past. Oh yeah, I'm feeling really anxious right now. And I know I'm anxious because I have this meeting and I'm doubting myself. But guess what? I believe in myself. I am strong. I'm not going to allow these thoughts in my head that aren't even mine try to talk me out of doing this. And when you have this self-awareness, you have control. You can take control of your life. And then you feel like a new person because you understand what your triggers are. You're conscious of the people that are making you feel this way. You're conscious of the things in your environment that trigger you. You know what stimuli are going to throw you into anxiety. You know what's going to throw you into fear. And you're aware and you're okay that, okay, this fear is not real. It's just a thought that I've had. It's something that I've convinced myself of. I'm going to choose to use faith right now. I'm going to choose to believe in myself instead of be scared. And you can start to recognize this stuff as they come up, before they even come up, and you're that conscious and you're that aware. You're in control. You've healed those wounds. They no longer affect you. You no longer have to go out and drink till 2 a.m. to feel something. You no longer have to scroll social media for 5 hours to distract your mind. You no longer have to watch TV all night. You don't have to go binge eat and eat all that food to feel better about yourself, because you understand what is happening. You understand who you are. You understand what is going on. You know what these feelings are. So that is what I would do if I were you, if I wanted to heal some wounds. Those are the 4 steps. The first thing you're going to do is create space. Get out, walk, meditate, journal. Find out what these thoughts are. Just create that space and just allow this stuff to come in and allow yourself to step away from those distractions. Then number 2, I want you to identify those distractions. What are those band-aids? What are those things that you're using to take your mind off of the feelings that are affecting you? And once you have all those down, you don't have to go to them, and you can allow these feelings to come in. And that's going to be the next step of letting go. Just allow them to come in, surrender to them, feel them, allow them to sit there, allow them to run out, and eventually they'll get weaker until you no longer have them. And then the last step, be conscious and aware going forward. Know your triggers, know the people that trigger you, know the places that trigger you. Be aware of what these feelings are and what they're going to do to you. And once you have that, you have mastery over your feelings. You understand, or at least you understand what is happening, and you can control your environment. You can start to understand, like, I'm not going to allow this to affect me this way, and you can move on with your life. You're no longer going to have that crippling anxiety that won't allow you to go forward, because you're going to know what it is. You're going to know the game plan of what that anxiety is trying to do to you, and you're going to have a way of understanding what it is, seeing it, and stepping around it. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to be free from your emotions. I want you to heal those wounds so you don't have those emotional wounds that are running your life. So I hope this episode helps. I hope you can start to implement some of this stuff in your life, because I want you to have control. I want you to live the life that you're meant to live. I want you to go chase your purpose, because you were born for a purpose. You weren't on accident, and you have a bright future. And I don't want these emotions and these distractions and these band-aids to run your life, because you're meant to do something great. You're meant to chase that purpose. You're meant to step into that future and be the best that you can be. Hope this podcast helps. And if you like it, please share it with somebody. The more shares is only going to help this grow, and I would really appreciate that. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.